And we welcome you back to Aztecs Now. We continue the discussion further with Brady Hoke, the head coach of the San Diego State football team, following a 34-20 loss at the hands of Idaho. In a moment here, we're going to look ahead to the Mountain West Conference opener against Air Force in Colorado Springs later this week. A game, by the way, that you can see on Channel 4 San Diego. It's just been picked up, so you'll be able to see that at, I believe, 11 o'clock here in San Diego. We'll talk about that further here in a moment. I do want to talk about going up to the Kibbe Dome here in Moscow, Idaho, and it almost seemed like a scene from the Hoosiers, Coach. I expected Gene Hackman to come out with 5 guys and the paper rolled up, ready to take you guys on.
Well, you know, it's a nice, really snug environment up there, and it really is like Hinkle Fieldhouse where Hoosiers was filmed. That's kind of what it reminded me of. So it's they have a nice facility up there, and it got loud. You know, they had 10,000 or 11,000 people, but they were allowed. A lot of spirit, and they did a nice job. And you know, when their team plays well, they were having a lot of fun.
It's not your everyday, though, college football environment. I don't know what you can take from playing there. It's almost like the walk-up Sky Dome, and I don't know if you've ever coached a game in Flagstaff at NAU, but it's a guy could catch a ball and literally go out the double doors into the parking lot.
Well, you could basically do that there, right. Believe me. And the goalposts come out from the wall and not the standard in the ground. So, but it was obviously to their advantage with their home crowd, and it was their home opener, so they had a lot of excitement.
You guys have protected Ryan Lindley quite well. I think I was reading that only 1 sack in his previous 253 pass attempts, and there was just 1 sack in that football game on Saturday.
Well, you know what? We've done a better job with our pass protection, and I think you've got to give Ryan some real credit because he's felt the rush at times. He's gone to the perimeter, or he's stepped up and kept his eyes down the field and completed some balls and kept plays alive. So, it's a little bit of both. And I also think, our running backs have done a pretty good job of protecting. And that's one of the hardest things when a big defensive end or an inside linebacker breaks in there and the back has him. And they've done a nice job.
I hate to use the word satisfied when it comes to anything, especially, 2-3 games into the season.
Sure.
But as far as your run defense is concerned, I did some play-by-play of games the last couple of years for the Aztecs, and it was always they gave up 300 yards, 350 yards rushing on the ground. I see 147 in this game, and I look at the glass half full in that situation.
Sure.
I'm wondering how you look at that, because they did have one big run in the game.
Well, they did, and we've got early in the game we've got to a point where they really quit running the ball. I thought we had done a nice job, and then we let them back in the game, and then when they got the lead, obviously they wanted to take some time off the clock, possess the ball a little more, and they did a nice job with that. And we just got to be more stout at the point of attack, and we've got to do a much better job as a defense in getting off blocks.
And I think you have with the guys that you have. I mean, even last year, they were down to only 3-4 able bodies across the defensive line to start the 2008 season. So the cupboard was, I don't want to say completely bare, but there wasn't a lot of guys here.
Well, and we play a lot of guys on defense, and so there's a lot of guys who are getting a lot of reps and a lot of experience that will pay dividends in the future and in this season for us. So I think by doing that, and we're playing a lot of down guys, a lot of linebackers, a lot of guys in the back end, trying to really keep guys fresh so they can play hard.
Do guys ever get confused at all? I mean, do you have to work on getting guys in and out every day at practice?
Not really. I think they do. We all have a rotation. Defensive line, Ernie Lawson and Jerome Long, they're on a 4-3 rotation. Ernie takes the first 4, right. Jerome takes the next 3. And they do a good job during the ball game. They all want to play.
Right.
So, believe me, they're counting
make
their
sure
plays.
They get in, yeah.
No question.
I think I heard the Idaho announcers describe it as like a couple of line changes in hockey. Is that the best way to describe it?
That probably fits the bill right there.
And one of the guys who's having a good year is Jerry Milling. I mean, San Diego State has always had a great stable of linebackers. Kirk Morrison and Luke Laulongi, and Jerry Milling has developed, I think, into a pretty special player, what we've seen early on this year.
Well, and I agree. I think Jerry really, from everything Jerry does, from his leadership in our football team to how he practices, how he prepares, and his enthusiasm for the game. And I really think Jerry, played very well last week, and he's a big part of our defense.
Okay, now let's look ahead to Air Force, and this is a football team that's 2-1. I know they beat Nicholls State. They lost at Minnesota. They won last week. They're 2 again. They're running the football over 1,000 yards rushing this season. What do we know about Air Force, and how do you beat them this week?
Well, number one, they're averaging 344 yards a game rushing the football. They're the number one rushing team in the country, and obviously we've got a work cut out for us. You talked about our rush defense. We've got to do a great job of containing their offense and don't give up big plays, and try and get some negative plays to put them behind schedule a little bit when you look at first, second, and third down. I think the other thing that people don't realize their kickoff returns and punt returns, they're leading our conference right now, and they've got some guys who are very capable of going the distance, and they're a really disciplined football team, and they're going to play and they're going to execute, and they're going to be a physically tough football team.
I was surfing the internet today, and I saw Tim Jefferson, I believe, is their quarterback, and he left the game with an ankle injury. Are you preparing any differently from what you see on the film to what you know about Jefferson perhaps not being there on Saturday?
Well, not really. I mean, they have a system, and they have a system they believe in, and they recruit to that system. So they've got a guy who's running number 2 who's very able and very qualified.
All right. Well, we appreciate the time. Coach Hoke, everybody. Coming up on Aztecs Now, we're going to talk with senior place kicker Lane Yoshida, and he's going to tell us why he's to blame for a teammate's injury. It's a piece of video you're going to want to see. I'm not sure it's even available on YouTube right now. He's staring me down now. But Yoshi's going to come back and talk about that when we continue on Aztecs Now right after this.